Yeah, and if for discussion leader, if you've done it, you have to turn in the discussion leader thing
Two
twice.
times.
Okay.
So you have to do it twice, and then the third time you don't. I don't know how many times you've done it.
Yeah, this is my second.
Oh, so you need to do the discussion leader thing then. So,
Okay. Yeah, this week is pretty. This one's not too bad either because it's just talking about those topics, really.
Okay, so kind of what we did is David and I are just taking on the disconnect between management and manufacturing employees. So we've written a lot of ours already. David did create an advisory board and team meetings with production statistics and upcoming goals. And then I'm doing creating a mission statement and company newsletter and then a social committee. Then Lane and Tina are going to create the termination and layoff policy for both temporary and contracted employees. The other one I kind of came up with, and this is yours and Parker's, so tell me what you think. This is what I put as the problem. Create a community to help with the outside influences such as substance abuse, same-sex relationships, divorce, work-home life balance, and other issues that can affect performance.
Yeah, I think that sounds great.
And so then one of the solutions could create an employee assistance plan, I think drug testing prevention and education programs, and then just two other ones.
Okay. Yeah, no, that would be great. Did you already put it on the?
Already put it on there. I've already put all the references of all of our articles. So.
Yeah, that's great. I think that sounds like a really good idea to me.
Okay. So you could probably take that on. Well, I mean, it's almost 10 after. We could
Yeah.
have our discussion now with you as the group leader and then finish up with the doohickeys towards the end, see if anybody else joins us.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay. Okay, so the first step it says to give everybody one of the topics, but I'm just gonna give them to everybody. So I mean, we'll just kind of figure out where we want to go. So the topics were substance abuse, divorce and family issues, work-home balance, same-sex relationships, and workplace dating relationships. It says that we can share real-life experiences, and then we'll move on to like how it will affect us in the workplace, I think.
Okay.
So do either of you want to start maybe your professional lives or your personal lives, any of these things that have affected your work life?
well, I was in a production company running a production, and I had about 100 employees in there at one point, and several of these issues came up. Um, we actually had, this was way back when the gay issue wasn't really out there. It was pretty taboo back then. I think it was back in the 80s or somewhere there. 80s, 90s, somewhere in there where it really isn't like what it is today where it's out in the open. And we had one employee come to us and tell us he was gay, and we didn't know what to do or if we should do anything. I mean, so basically we sat down with him and says, what would you like us to do? You know, we didn't have any guidance. There wasn't all the policies there was today and things like that. So we sat down with him and says, how open do you want this to be? Do you want, you know, we definitely don't want you to be harassed. We don't want any harassment going on in the company. And want you to bring up any issues there. Do you want us to sit down with the employees and explain uh, what gay is, I guess is what we did. So it was kind of a new field back then. So today it's pretty explicit. It's just like sexual harassment or those kinds of things, and you have to tell people you can't discriminate against it and all that kind of thing. And back then that was just coming into being. So it's not that I agree with that side of things, but I agree you can't harass somebody, that kind of stuff. So there's somebody.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, back then. I mean, even when I was growing up, 'cause I was born in '90, so I mean, it's still relatively. I mean, it's obviously changed a lot, but I'm sure it was kind of just like we don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Because you're right.
The interesting thing is his partner worked with me
Oh,
at a different company.
Okay.
And so it was interesting because the one I worked with was very out there and wanted everybody to know and wanted the shock factor. And it took us a while to make that connection, but it was quite interesting that we both worked with the partners. So.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So that's kind of my take on the same-sex issue kind of thing. So.
I had an incident that I actually had to deal with quite heavily about the workplace drug abuse. We had a person in the office of the elementary school actually was addicted to prescription drugs, and she would actually ask parents if they had any after surgeries and things like that. And I ended up having to go testify in court over the situation. So it was, and the hard thing is she was also in our ward, so that made things really difficult.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that one was very, very difficult. I had to go testify in court, and I never want to have to do that again.
Wow.
And it took years to resolve, to get her either out of the company.
It was from the time she was I actually caught her on the facility doing it. It took 18 months before they dismissed her.
Wow.
Wow.
And
what was the court case? Like, why was it taken to court? Did she end up in jail?
It was actually, I had to testify in the divorce between her and her husband. Saying that she was discriminated against. She was saying that I discriminated against her, and that's why she was fired from her job, so she needed more money from her husband.
Oh boy.
So it was pretty ugly.
I guess the thing you could take from that is people that are on substances aren't looking at it clearly. They're looking that everybody's out to get them. They don't see that they have a problem. Yeah.
And that was the thing. She was a very, very awesome lady that just, because of surgeries and stuff, ended up getting hooked on painkillers.
I know my mother-in-law just had surgery yesterday, and she's telling me she didn't want narcotics because she's just, and she's a nurse, and so she's been there and seen all that, and so she tries to. She's just like, I don't want it. I don't want to have any. So she's, with her surgery, she's having to have some narcotics, but she's trying to just keep it to where she never gets herself into that type of a situation.
Right.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So that was kind of like that kind of went with just looking off the list. You covered substance abuse, divorce, and like you knew her personally too. So that's kind of like a relationship. Like,
yeah,
that was a whole bunch of everything kind of.
Oh, it was ugly. Let me tell you, it was. I felt bad for David. He'd sit in the ward council and they talk about this whole situation, and he knew my side of it, so it was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't say anything really per se, and they're in there thinking she's getting demonized against, and nobody loves her and wants to take care of her. She's going to lose her job because they're discriminating. I'm just sitting there going, can't say much. Yeah,
I guess.
Wow.
Legally,
because of the confidentiality.
Wow, what a position to be in.
So that's where, like it said in these articles, that if workplaces or somewhere had programs people could get into. I think like our company, if you go into the HR and say I've got a problem, they'll get you hooked up with these programs. But if you don't go in and you get caught, because we have drug testing, then you're fired immediately, kind of thing. So.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Well, and I just want to bring up another thing. This one is actually a personal one for David and I, how home life can affect work. This last October, our daughter-in-law suddenly passed away. And so then we're trying to help our son adopt his 4 children because she was a widow when he married her and everything. And that really affects what happens in the workplace because all of a sudden, our life was turned upside down. And so having those programs and having that sense of community really makes a huge difference.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
So, I mean, that's one thing that I think is so important. You have to have that sense of community so that people can rally around you without fixing the problem because you can't get involved in the problem itself. So.
Yeah, and sometimes you get involved kind of like in your situation where you had you didn't want to be involved, but you had to be.
Right.
Because of those, so it's good that we know how to go about that. Tina, did you have any of these kind of experiences or any thoughts on any of those topics that I sent the email about?
So for me, it's always been the home life versus work and trying to balance that. That was the only thing I can think of. In fact, that's what I think I did my answer on for something this week. It was just because and I'm the sole supporter or the breadwinner of the family. So it's always been hard to try to make sure that I can go to work every day and have that job to always go back to every day and just to always want and then still be able to do the things with my kids. And there's been places that I've worked at where they weren't understanding at all if you had children. And that's always hard because that makes it really stressful for you as a parent because you want to be there for your kids, but you don't want to lose your job.
Yeah, well, you really can't lose your job.
Right.
You wouldn't. Yeah.
Like there was one time, one place that when we first moved to Texas, I worked at this one company for about a year, and after a year, I couldn't deal with it anymore, and I'd given my notice. Well, prior to giving my notice, I had taken advantage of. I was going in late because I had to register my daughter for school, so I took advantage of that and went to go get a job application somewhere else. And then my son had something, and so I took advantage and used that extra time to go for the job interview. It worked out really well. How it happened. It wasn't that I was lying when I called into work or that I had made these appointments. I wasn't lying. I was telling the truth of why I originally had to take that time off. Well, when I gave my notice, my manager's her words were, "Oh, so that's what you were doing." So I mean, she immediately thought I was lying about everything. So I knew that it was the right thing to do, and and now where I work now is, I love my managers. They're so family oriented, and it's you take care of your family, and if you need to, if I have to work from home, like I have to tomorrow, they're totally understanding of it, and I've been so blessed with this job that I currently have. So.
Yeah, and I think with what you're saying is almost like with this new job where you are right now, you have probably more of a sense of loyalty to that company too.
Yes.
because of the way that they treat you, the way that, yeah, I think your job definitely has something going really good for them for that very reason.
Yeah, I'm very thankful for it.
Like, I have an example of that. I work at a dental office right now. I'm doing my internship with the management there, and the previous manager got fired because she was embezzling money from the dentists.
Oh.
And,
Oh no.
well, and it's funny because the dentists he's one of the most generous people that I've ever met. So like twice a year he closes the entire practice for like a week and a half at a time and takes all of his employees to like last year they went to Lake Powell for a week and a half. He rented them cars to drive down. He did all this like super generous stuff. And all of his employees now are very like I've talked to them and they can't imagine working somewhere else. And I almost feel like you can either kind of be a cheapskate at your job and try to cut corners and be a bad manager and do that kind of stuff and make your employees, not be as loyal and maybe be kind of like that manager who's like, well, they treat me like crap anyway, so I'm just going to steal some money.
Yeah.
Or you can treat them really well and then everybody's happy and they're super loyal. So definitely a balance there, I think.
Oh yeah.
My question to Parker is, how's the job going? Did you
Oh yeah.
It's going well actually. So the job that I got in Utah is just like a customer support job. Kind of the interim job. But they've actually already got me working on some special projects using Excel and stuff. So I don't know how long I'll actually be in customer support. But it's been good. Interview went well in Arizona, so looking to hear back from them in like a week or so. But yeah, so I'm feeling pretty good about stuff, but running around like a chicken without its head. So.
Yep.
Cool.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you, I appreciate it. So my story to add to the conversation, mine's actually really funny and not at the same time. I worked at a bowling alley after high school, and there was we ended up having to fire 4 of our 7 night crew members because we had a gentleman on our team. We had a kid. We had a kid on our team who was kind of a ladies' man a little bit, and we had quite a few girls on the team, and apparently he had been dating 3 of them at the same time. And so this obviously couldn't end well. It hit the fan after, I don't know, probably like 7 weeks or so of apparently him dancing around. And so it came to a head. The reason why we had to let them all go is it came to a head at the workplace while they were on shift. And we just it was just this huge scene of this love square. It was a joke. And 2 girls were working, he was working, and then one of the girls came in to, the bowling alley was attached to a restaurant. She came in to get some food, and anyway, I guess one of the girls saw him kiss one of the other girls, and blah, blah, blah. People were mad and yelling and crying, and long story short, they all got let go for getting involved in something that we already didn't allow, and that was inter-office romance, if you will. And so that's kind of my story, and me as the night manager at the time, I was furious, I guess you could say, because I had to hire 50% of my night crew again, and I had to do it quickly. And made my life pretty difficult. And so, we have policies for a reason, and when people don't, abide by them, it kind of sucks.
We have a pretty strict policy where we work, and there's a custodian out at one of the schools that is going to get married to one of the teachers. and one of them has to quit or go somewhere else. So they can't work in the same building. So even though it's been a civil and a nice relationship, it kind of puts a damper on things as one of them's got to find a new job now. So
Where I work, I'm actually amazed. I don't think they have a policy on that, but because I'm actually amazed by how many couples. I work for a manufacturing company, so it's pretty big. But how many couples, people that are married work there? How many family members work there? I mean, they keep it to where one of the rules you can't work obviously for a spouse or I can't say for a sibling because I know managers that have their brother or sister that work under them, but it's really it amazes me because everywhere else I've worked I've never seen that.
Yeah, ours is called a nepotism policy, but I can see where you can get in trouble there. But it's like Robin and I work for the same company. We both work for the same school district, but she's in a different building, under a different department, under different supervisors, under different managers, so we can get away with that. So
yeah, it makes it a little bit different.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun, though. He gets to come into my building every once in a while, so I get to stay.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to think because I work at Intermount Healthcare, and I'm sure they have a policy or something like that. I think you just have to work on like a different floor in the hospital or something if you are dating. And I think you have to like report it when you are dating somebody. I think that's kind of like one of the general. A lot of companies have that where if you do decide to date somebody, you just have to let them know.
Now I do know that I did one of my coworkers who was dating someone that worked on the same side of the building as us in a different department though, but it got ugly where he was actually abusing her, and so she had to go to HR and report him, and then they put him on where he could work, but he had to work from home until it all got sorted out. And then there ended up being layoffs, and he ended up getting laid off. So it kind of worked out in the end for her, but still, just doesn't always make for a good good policy or good things like that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting. So we all shared our experiences. So the next part of the discussion just wants us to briefly talk about the future of our careers. Like, we'll just kind of go around and maybe what do you guys think? What will be like one of the biggest issues you think you'll see or continue to see in your work, like out of all of these issues? I don't know, just based on how society is right now and how the workplace is.
Well, I think the biggest issue that I'm dealing with, because I work in a technical high school, so I'm the administrative assistant, is the whole thing about the transgender. And so we're having to deal with having the bathrooms that are either or and all of that throughout the district. So I think that's one of the big things, is trying to support these kids that really are trying to find themselves right now and things like that. So that's one of the biggest issues, I think.
What about you, David? What do you think?
Well, I'd like to say the working for home thing, but there's a lot of industries like mine is maintenance. I can't work for home. I got to go fix the schools. So if they could put more flexibility in that kind of job somehow, like let me create my own hours so I can just go into the schools and fix things when I have time. Right now our family's grown, so I don't have a lot of issues to get home, but before this I worked in a construction company, and they basically let me run my own hours, and sometimes it was 2 o'clock in the morning and I was out doing stuff, so I could take care of family issues, kind of like Tina was saying there. They're very family orientated, and You need the time off, you take the time off, you do it later. They knew I'd get the job done eventually, but they were very family. So, I guess the issue is that they can do out work from home, but there's some like manufacturing and maintenance and construction that are a little tough to do that from. So I guess if you want to work from home, you got to kind of work towards those careers, I guess, kind of thing. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. You'd have to find a job. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Tina.
No, I was going to say, yeah, I'd never been in that type of a position until where I work now, and I started off being the program manager's assistant, and I've worked my way into having my own accounts, and I don't have the official title as a program manager yet. They're waiting for me to have a degree, but it's been, that's been a huge blessing in my life to be able to work from home. Because my last daughter, who was a surprise for us, I've been able to, actually be at home when she was sick and be able to just work, or even when I'm sick and just still be able to lay in bed or on the couch and be able to work from home. And I've never had that, so it's been great these last few years.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think that your job is kind of the ideal for a working mom.
Yeah. I mean, I have to go to work, I know other people that work for like Dell who actually work from home, and I don't know that I could do that. I could do it for a little while, but I get easily distracted. It's like, oh, let me just go do those dishes really quick, or or whatever. So I don't know that I could do it full time. But a little bit here and there is good.
I feel the same way with like school, is I physically can't bring myself to study at home. I have to go to the library. I'll get distracted,
Yeah.
Almost the same. Okay. And Parker, what do you think about like the future? Like, what do you think will be in your career?
I think one of the biggest things I'm going to have to worry about, particular to my industry, is the work-home balance. Like at the beginning of my job, like with this job interview with the investment company that I had on Tuesday, one of their questions is they really needed to know what my availability was going to be like, and what kind of balance I was expecting out of the work-home life balance. And really the only appropriate answer for them at this time is essentially I'm willing to pay my dues and work like a dog. And that's just kind of the industry standard a little bit. And these guys are actually pretty lenient in that I'll probably be working about 60 to 70 hours a week.
Oh, wow.
And the industry standard, though, in all honesty, for this position is closer to 80 to 90 a week for the first 5 years of your career. And so I think that's probably going to be the biggest issue I'll have to work with in the near to moderate future.
Okay. Yeah, what is the work exactly? That sounds like an accounting firm to me.
Kind of. It's a real estate private equity firm in Scottsdale. So my job is a financial analyst. So I'll be, analyzing financial stuff. Very, very, yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot. Because that's kind of how those big accounting firms work, is the first 5 years or so, you're literally working 80-hour weeks for, like 50, 60 grand a year. And then after that, you become a partner. And then you go to like a normal kind of schedule.
Yep.
So,
well, for those 5 years, you're a plow horse.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I think work-home balance is probably going to be one of the biggest things for me as well. I'm going next year. I'm going to be going to nursing school. So usually here in Utah, nurses work 12-hour shifts. So on those days, I mean, you only work 3 12s, but on those days you don't really have time to do much else but eat and sleep. So on those days it's a little bit tricky. So that might be kind of difficult. But the plus side of that is you get 2 days extra off a week too, so it's kind of cool. Okay. Was there anything else that anybody wanted to add? Any experiences or anything else?
Now, like David and I, we've been talking, we're heading more towards retirement. So that's a lot of our work probably thing right now is trying to finish up retirement because we can see that coming up soon. So where you guys are just starting your careers.
Okay. Cool.
I'm halfway there, not quite.
Well,
I'll probably actually a little more than halfway, but
we still have just over 10 years, so we're getting close.
I'm probably about 15 to 20.
Okay. All right, so that's pretty much the discussion. Do we need to discuss about the doohickeys at all? Anything else that we didn't discuss at the beginning?
Yeah, probably. Do we want to make sure everybody knows what they're doing? Parker missed the first part of it there. We got some more subjects there. So.
Oh, is this from Brother Bonnie?
Well, I went in because from what Brother Bonnie sent out, David and I have most of ours done. And
I haven't started yet.
Sorry, my phone's ringing. But I came up with another topic that we kind of went over with Sam. Problem 3, create a community to help deal with outside influences such as substance abuse, same-sex relationships, divorce, work-home life balance, and other issues that can affect performance. So that's the third problem I came up with. Does anybody have any suggestions on that?
I did not think of anything else.
So is that Sam and Parker going to work on that part then?
That one, because I thought Parker was going to talk about the termination layoff for temporary employees. So
right, and then I had the layoff and termination for regular. So it was, I'm looking at the email. We needed something for Samuel and Lane.
Oh, that's right, Lane. Lane's missing.
Yeah, he's missing. So anyway, I did come up with that. Just a couple of things. This week isn't as heavy in other stuff. I am more than willing to turn the paper. The only problem is I am leaving out of town on Sunday, and I'm actually going camping with our son and his children to the national parks. And I will be in for town again for a short time on the 22nd. So I don't know what your guys' availability is, but if we can knock this thing out, we can get it turned in.
Is it due this upcoming Monday or the following?
It's due on the 23rd.
It's due Saturday the 23rd.
Oh, okay. Well, in that email, didn't you say you guys wanted me to turn it in this time again?
No, you have to do the discussion leader thing.
Oh, I thought he was also turning it in as well.
You can.
No, he can. We just have to decide. I can be putting stuff together and formatting it. I wish Brother Bonnie had finished grading so that we could see what our grade was and see if there was any suggestions, but he hasn't yet. I don't know. I'm willing to do as much as I can before I leave. I just need to email the actual document to somebody to finish it up if people don't get it done this weekend. So.
So
I don't
that
know
was
what your availability is. I'm just thinking I want to get it done so I can get my finals done, and that's all I'm dealing with next week.
So I guess take a poll here. Who can get done by when?
I'm gonna try to get it done this weekend.
Okay.
Yeah,
Like I said, I've got mine in there. Robin's got hers in there.
I can do mine by Sunday.
Okay.
We just
Mine's
need
gonna be up by Saturday morning.
Okay.
we'll just have to talk to Lane and see if he can. Maybe we'll make another email and we can say that Lane and I are doing that other section.
Okay.
Yeah, because he was on last week, so he knew that he was working with you on something. We just didn't know what yet.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it looks like we're going to all try to get it through this weekend if we can. Then
Okay, so I can keep working on it. I've got references all done. I'm working on a bunch of it right now. So, Sam, because it doesn't, you know how you had to take it from the Google Doc and put it in a different one.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not complete when I have to leave out of town, can I just email it to you and you finish it up then?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. That would be great. So I will get as much done as possible formatting wise, and then I'll just shoot it off to you if I don't get everything by Sunday.
Okay. Yeah, that works.
who's going to send Lane a message? Is Sam, you want to email him?
Lane?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
And that thinks we're covered, and we'll be done.
Wow.
I know.
Can't
Yay.
believe this ended this close.
Did everybody catch what Brother Bonnie said about the final? That if you give brief, short answers, you'll probably get a C, but if you get into depth on each of the answers, like a good paragraph or two, and explain where you're coming from and from what references, then you'll definitely get an A. So that's a hint from him. So,
Oh, I missed that.
so don't just go, well, yeah, I think they should have a sex harassment policy. That should be good. Thanks.
And it
Go
says,
into more depth.
yeah,
Yeah.
he actually says on the final essay, briefly describe or something. He says, give me depth, and then you'll get an A.
Yeah, don't briefly. And he-
Briefly will get you a passing grade, but
Oh yeah, he says, remember, more content in the final is much better.
Mhm.
yes. So
So-
I think we've covered everything.
Yeah, that's great. Where was the link for our doohickeys this time? Tina emailed it out, right?
No, Robin did.
Oh, okay. I found it. Never mind.
Did you find it? Okay, I can
Yeah.
email it out again. But it should be there, and what I wrote as the problem should be on there so that you can see that. And Tina and Parker, if you want to change yours up, change it up however you want. So
Okay. Yeah, I saw that Brother Bonnie had a whole bunch of, well, not a whole bunch, but several different suggestions that he came up with.
yeah, so if Parker and Tina, if you want to go through that, whatever you want to come up with is great. That was just more of a suggestion.
Yeah.
So, I've already gotten most of mine pieced together.
Perfect.
So am I okay to just keep that?
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
just paste it in there, and then Tina knows where you're going from there.
Yep.
So,
Yep, that's great, Parker.
Good.
So, well, it's been fun getting to know y'all, you guys, this semester, and good luck.
Yes, I
Sure.
second that. You too.
All right. Thanks,
And
guys.
have fun camping next week.
It's going to be very hot in southern Utah.
Are you tenting it, or I hope you have a camper?
We have a tent trailer, so
Oh, okay.
it's our son and his 4 little munchkins that we're going camping. David gets to stay home, and I'm going with them. because I've worked at the district longer, so I have more vacation.
I have
Well,
limited-
enjoy.
So, but we're doing 5 national parks, so that should be kind of fun.
Oh wow, yeah.
All right. Well, sounds like we got a good plan, and everybody, good luck to you, Parker, on your career there going. So,
Yep.
Well,
All right.
thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay,
All right.
Thank you, guys.
thanks.
Have a good night, guys.
good night.
See ya.